Hello, and welcome to Words from Your Mama. I'm your host, Simone. If you're a mom or maybe considering being a mom and you want some encouragement along the way, then this podcast is for you. On this podcast, I interview moms from every walk of life as they share their experiences. So thanks for listening. All right, so we're interviewing a very special person, and I'm super excited who's on. We have Naomi Phillips, who is going to share a little bit about herself. So, welcome to the podcast, Naomi.
Thank you, Simone.
Awesome. All right, so let's just get into it because I don't want to, again, take up too much of your time. We only have a small window. So, the first question we are going to ask you is think about a parenting challenge you recently faced and how you found a solution or even a different approach.
Yeah, that's a good one. I the challenge that I am dealing with in parenting right now that I'm trying to come up with a better solution is how to deal with selfish children. And and although I want my daughter has not maybe um, been the what do I want to say, has done any wrong in a situation with her friends, I still want her to be able to walk away and to be able to apologize, if that makes sense. I want her to be the bigger person, even though we know that maybe she didn't do anything right. I'm trying to teach her that in this world, nobody's really taking accountability, in my opinion, what I've seen more lately. And so, yeah, so I've tried a lot of different things with my daughter Zeppelin, with her friends. Sometimes I just try to teach her that, this whole life is fair thing, life ain't fair an idea that she needs to get used to. Sometimes you just need to suck it up and say you're sorry that the person feels that way and walk away, because we live in a very interesting time with kids and kids parents that they just they don't want to admit anything wrong. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it is something that I would say right now I'm trying to find a solution for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a hard time to be a parent, I feel like.
Yeah. I would say I agree, but I'm not a parent, so I don't agree. But I agree from the aspect of accountability. There's a major lack in accountability anymore. Everyone's kind of just
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm healing, I'm doing my own thing,
Yes.
which great. There's time and space for that, but at the same time, be accountable. Hold your kids accountable. This is the life.
Yes.
We're raising
Yep.
responsible adults.
That's perfect. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
So, on to our next question. Can you share a memorable family outing or adventure you had, and maybe even share how it influenced your children if you can think about that?
Yeah, this was a good one. It was challenging for me to think about, because I go for whatever reason, and just to give you some insight to a little bit more about me, like I have two different sets of children, right? So I have older children that are adult, and then I have my young girl, my youngest, who is 9 years old right now. So when I thought of this question, when I was faced with it, I thought back to Marley and Jacoby, who are my adult children. I think I've done a lot of things with Zeppelin, if that makes sense. We're a little bit more financially stable, but for my older two, I immediately thought back to, um, just being able to go out and spend time. My family lives across country. We were in Louisiana. My family lives in Southern California. And we were just able to go out there and spend time with them. My kids would go there every summer for 3 months. Sometimes I would come back and work. But that was had a huge impact on them, because they were able to become very close with their grandparents and have a unique relationship with my family, being so far apart. And then, when my son Jacoby hit about 11, 12 years old, his dad kind of stepped down from being involved in his life. And I do believe that, the influence that my dad had on him and being able to go spend time, it did impact my son in a positive way. It gave him a positive role model to actually be able to kind of, follow him through into his young adulthood.
Yeah, that's huge, Naomi, because I feel like grandparents are like the most underused treasure or tool that parents have
Yes.
in their toolbox.
Yes.
And especially not having a father figure, having a blood relative as a father figure is huge. It's
Yes.
just amazing to have their
Yes.
grandparents and
Yes.
spend time with them. That's awesome.
It is. I think it's a
So
blessing.
it is a huge blessing. I'm going to stay on this for 2 more seconds.
Yes.
There's friends that I have who lost both sets of their grandparents, and I never knew what that felt like because my dad's parents, I never really got to spend time with, and they both passed when I was a baby. But my
Yeah.
mom's parents were around well into my teenage years, and my grandma's still around. But like, it's
Oh,
amazing how many times I hear people like, "Oh, I really miss my grandparents," and I
yes.
treasure my time with my grandma because I know that I don't have too much left.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I think that's awesome.
Yep. And it's such a different relationship too than your
Mm-hmm.
parents. There's a lot more. It's a different love. There's no. Well, I shouldn't say that, but at least for most grandparents, it's just this open love. This there's this acceptance that my parents have for my kids, whereas I'm a little harder, maybe a lot harder on them. So it is a different, unique relationship that I just think it's beneficial if anybody can have that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So let's talk about some mistakes you've made as a parent and
Um,
what was the important lesson that you learned from those. You don't have to list them
I
all, just like one or two.
good. Good. And this may go a little bit deeper than even this was a hard question and it challenged me. Hey, this a lot of these did.
Yeah.
Um, there are a lot of mistakes and just for any parent out there, I would say any mothers, fathers, like you're gonna make mistakes. There's no way you can't. Okay. There's no way you can't. This is not, I don't care how many books you read, and how much scripture that you apply to the raising of your child, you're human, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. But I would say this, that the biggest mistake that I made um, was divorce kills something in a child, a spirit. And so, just for parents and those out there, even pre-parents that are listening, like make sure your partner is your life partner. You better make sure, and these people that are having kids, out of wedlock or just single parents who just think that they don't want to get married, they just want to be a single parent. I think that is doing children a disservice. It doesn't matter how strong. I mean, you can, and even to this day, I can say kids can adapt. Kids are strong
Yeah.
and they are, but they shouldn't have to. And so I think that there a solid one of the biggest mistakes I made, and again, it was my life, it's my testimony, I can't change it, but you know, to not have that solid partner and to just kind of rush into marriage and to do things the wrong way and then separate and then it doesn't matter, you can't change it and it affects your kids greatly. I pray, and even though I was open with my kids, I pray that they learn from it and they don't go forward with making that same mistake and that they make sure they choose the right partner to raise children with. Um, but for those who, but it definitely, either way, it's affected them, and it affects everyone. So I would just say that was probably one of the biggest, when I read this and thought about it, I got so emotional because, and again, I think I told you in the beginning of this, I'm like, I'm not a good parent when I think about all of the mistakes and the things that I've put my kids through, but that would have been the biggest one. You can't really take it, you can't take it back, and so you just need to be aware of, as an adult, you got to suck it up and go through the hard times with the person that you're with. You just have to. You
Yeah.
do your do it for your children.
Yeah. I mean, life's all about experiences, and if you can spare your kids an experience, that
Yep.
not favorable experience, then by all means, take that proactive
Yeah.
step to make sure that whoever you're taking the time to have relation with is someone you want to spend time with for the rest of your
That's
life.
it. That's it.
So thank you for going deep there, because I wasn't even considering that in the realm of like parenting. I'm like yes or no's. Like I told my daughter she can go out late one night, and that was the worst mistake ever. But that was a deep one. So thanks for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, share a time you had to be patient as a parent, and what are the positive
Mm,
outcomes from that?
mm, 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 mm. Um, my daughter Zeppelin is teaching me to be patient. Um, I love control and I love to do things my way. And my older kids were people pleasers. Zeppelin is not a people pleaser. So so it is, and I'm homeschooling her. And so I guess all of that is like, maybe one of the most life changing, I should say, um, moments with her was when we were working on a project for her homeschooling. And I just wanted to get it done. I just really was over it. And she called me out because as we went and bought the supplies, and then I'm trying to, this is like a book report thing that I was doing with her. And I started noticing about halfway through it, we're putting little clay figures together and stickers and this and that. She asked me, like, is this for, am I, and she meant it. She's like, is this my project, mom? Is this for me? Am I going to be, is this mine, or is this yours? Are you going to be presenting it to daddy? And I was like, oh wow. And what I guess, and I know this about me, and I have learned from this, I've got to step back as a parent, and like little things, it builds their confidence. Let them tie their own shoes, even though they're running out the door, or you're going to church or whatever. Give them a few more seconds to finish that shoe. They'll be less needy later. So like, I really had to step back and look at, I'm doing this because I'm on my time. I want to finish this. I got stuff to do. I need to create an independent human being here. And so I am learning day by day with her to be a little bit more patient as a parent and just enjoy her, being able to make these decisions in life.
That's huge.
Or, yep.
That's so huge. That I don't know that I would like, so we both struggle with like control and stuff. So I don't know that I would have the patience to sit there and watch her struggle getting a project done, especially if we're like down to the wire and we have to get this done by a certain
Yeah.
time. You know you're fully capable and able to do it in 10 minutes. So why wouldn't
Yes.
you just do it in 10 minutes?
Right. Get
That's
it
so good.
done. We'll just get it done. I'm telling you, it's a work. I'm a work in progress.
But God.
That's right. Amen.
So I know you talked about in the beginning about how you don't feel like you're a really great parent, but what are some things that you've done as a parent to increase your confidence? If anything, what is one thing you've done to increase your confidence as a parent?
I think that raising my kids in church and being able to, and again, that's where your confidence comes from. Um, my older two, we weren't in the church in the beginning, and started, when my son Jacoby, he was about 6 years old. My daughter was about 7 or 8, but we weren't very serious in it. But raising, and there's something so important with that. There's structure, there's consistency, and it's the word of God. And so I would, if anything, I would say just the confidence I have more in Zeppelin. When I get to hear her quote scripture, or be able to answer somebody, with some godly advice, I know I'm doing something right. So I definitely know that being in the church now, a contrast to my older kids who weren't, there's a lot more peace and there's a lot more confidence knowing that I have a church actually to fall back on, and it creates a lot better human beings. I'm
Yeah.
just putting it out there. Yes, absolutely.
I was listening to an interview earlier this morning, and it was talking about pre-K, how pre-K, some people don't agree with pre-K because you can literally create your own community. That's all pre-K is doing, is creating a community or just a
Right,
social interaction for the kids for a little bit.
right, right.
And they were talking about the significance of church or finding just community within your community. And church is definitely that. Like, it's a place where you can have
Yes,
wholesome, pure community.
yes, Yes.
So yeah, I think that's definitely a great way to boost your confidence as a parent.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you share some parenting skills or strategies you want to improve on, or even something that you plan to work on?
So I would go back to one of the previous questions and say just being patient. One of my skills, patience is, and that is a skill in life in general, but learning to allow my child to just become independent, you know, there's a lot of things we can do is with parenting skills. We could feed them better. We can cook, more nutritious food for them. We can try to spend more time, but really for me it is that it's letting her make her own decisions. It's letting her I want my kids to have be confident, like I said, and have feel independent. um so trying to let her dress herself. And if you see my daughter, she's
She's got great style.
she's very individual with that. Yeah, she is. She thinks she is. So that would be my thing is patience. One is patience, and really, like I don't know, like I am not this way, but mothers who can be like peacemakers, you know what I'm talking about? Like
Mm-hmm.
peacemakers in the family. The some of the movies, like, and I'm gonna go old school, like Little House on the Prairie, right? Like Charles Ingalls, and I forgot the mom's name, Carol, yeah. She was just always she could say a couple words or look at these girls, right? And they knew she meant she was serious, but she didn't scream, she didn't holler. She always had this like nice settledness to her, and I would love to be that. I don't think I am that, but I would love to be a peacemaker in my house. The children, I would love to be able to come in the room and help them solve problems instead of get involved with their arguments. So I am working on that skill of being a peacemaker as well.
What a great skill. I love that, Naomi. Your answers are solid. I love it. Man.
I had some time to look at these, by the way.
So,
Oh.
share with us how you find balance between taking care of yourself and being a mom. Like, how do you prioritize the two?
And so I don't, I'll just say personally, I can't balance it. I am a mom. It's what I am. And it is something that no matter what's happening, I'm either thinking about one of my kids. Right now, my son is down in another state. He's an adult, and yet all I'm thinking of is, I hope he's okay. I hope he has enough money. I hope he's behaving. And so I don't know that I can say that I can balance it. You just are a mom. It's forefront. It's what we do. I think it takes over anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't separate the two. Like, once your kid's born, you're no longer Naomi's sister daughter. You're Naomi mom, wife, sister, daughter, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be like having to forget your social security number.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Nice, nice analogy. That's mild. That's good. I like that. Social
Uh,
Security, mom. Security.
so, share a recent milestone or accomplishment your
Mm,
child achieved and how it made you feel.
yes, I am a new grandmother,
Ooh.
and yeah, it was amazing, and it was I'm gonna, it's amazing. It was amazing to be there. My daughter wanted me there for the delivery, and I was actually sharing this with some of my staff at work when I came back. I just got to see my daughter like she was a beast, like here's this it's your baby, and here's this kid, and she gave me grief for years, and she's a little throwed off, and I get worried about how are they going to handle this, and I just watched her go through child labor and pain, and she travailed really for hours, and it was not even a nice delivery, and it ended up in a C-section. But when she came home and she just had this moment, I'll tell you that she was struggling. Her husband came out, was trying to help her to get showered when she first came home. She was in the hospital for 3 days. I'm going to share this story because this is where I knew. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done as a mom, ever. And we just had this moment. He came out of the bathroom. He said, I can't help her. My daughter she's overweight, and she was before the baby, and you gain weight with the baby, and then they pump you full of fluid. So I went in the bathroom. I said, look, let me go and help her. I walked in the bathroom, and my daughter was attempting to get in the shower, and she was just standing there. She was crying. She had her husband cover all the mirrors, so she didn't have to look at herself. And she just, and she was just crying. And I said, what's going on? And she said, she just had this moment. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, Mom. I don't know what I feel. It all just hit me. I'm ugly. I'm fat. I feel weird. I'm overwhelmed. What am I doing? How am I going to take care of this baby? I don't think I'm ready to be a mom. And she's just bawling, crying. I can't even bathe myself. I can't even, there were she just felt overwhelmed. And honestly, at that time, I just felt so much like it was such a beautiful moment. I'm so proud of you. And I just, because I've been there, and I felt the same way. This was my firstborn. And when she was born, I felt exactly the same way. And so we had this moment. It felt like full circle. And I started crying. And I said, that is absolutely normal. I am just so proud of you. Everything you've done, everything that you've accomplished. You're a fighter. I told her, you got through school on your own. You've been living on your own since you were, 17, since you left the house. And we just had this moment. I said, you're going to get in the shower and we're going to get you clean. It was such a privilege to be there. It was such a privilege to be able to do that as a parent.
Yeah.
And it just changed the way, like, it was this probably at this point with any of my kids, I love them all, but it's been probably the top moment of feeling so much like I am just so proud of what she's done, and so that would be it.
It's huge.
It was huge. It was
Wow.
amazing. It was amazing. God is good. That was a really neat moment to have.
That was because you're not only in that moment, my daughter just gave birth to my granddaughter, or my grandson, sorry. It's
Yeah.
full, like, you see all the relationship issues, like, not issues, but like all, like, from her being a baby. You're going through, like, your mind probably going through teenage, adolescence,
Yes.
adult, like, you're seeing
Yes.
literally everything come around. And then you have
Everything.
this special moment. Y'all are
Yeah.
vulnerable together. Like, all of that's in the past. And you just have
Yep.
this moment with you and your daughter. It's
Yep.
so
It was awesome.
precious.
It was. It was amazing. It was emotion. It was awesome. I just pray that, it's so to let every parent out there know, it does change, because they kind of step away from you, and they kind of give you pushback, and I feel like they do come back, though. They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, that's so good. So good.
It's good.
So you may not have an answer for this question either, but what's one thing you do as a mom for self-care or self-improvement?
I know. I mean, if anything, I would say this. I know I said it's hard to balance. You're still a mom, but self-improvement we all have to do. And so, just staying in the word and trying to grow in your ministry. Remember, don't get lost in being a mom to where it's all, or a dad or a parent, where it's all about that. The Lord still has you still have a calling, I believe, outside of that. And so just continuing to seek his voice, and grow in what God's ministry is for you, knowing what your giftings are and still operate in those. It's important for your self improvement and to continue to grow in life.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you're setting the example for your kid. And if your kid sees you being lazy, then they're going to grow up to be lazy.
It's so good.
Man.
It's true.
I'm still choked up from the last one. Golly gee.
Yeah.
So, tell us about a difficult... So, tell us about a difficult situation you face as a mom, and share a positive moment that you are grateful for.
Yeah.
It's kind of repetitive of one of the last questions we've asked.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that's one that we're working on, but really difficult situations is when you, I'll take it back to when I was talking about accountability with kids, but there are times as parents or me personally where difficult situations are having to really come down hard on your kids when you may not really feel you have to, but you, like you said, we are the example, we're the role model, and we need to be consistent with what's coming out of our mouth. Something in my house is words matter. I tell it to everybody, including my husband. It's like words, the things that we say to each other and what we say we're going to do matter. And so, there's times when we do, as parents, have to be hard on our kids, and they have to face the consequences. And so, again, positive moments from that and gratefulness is that your kids end up honestly becoming responsible adults, being able to see my daughter make good decisions in her friendship circle, being able to come home when all of the kids in the group are doing things she knows she shouldn't be doing, right? Or saying things that they shouldn't be saying because she's accountable and knows that there's consequences. She has come home sometimes, she's upset or not, that she's left these situations that could have been potentially bad. And then you just see your child making these amazing decisions as a young adult, as a kid, and you're like, okay, this is good. So all of these things that we implement, that we are consistent with, in the moment they may seem very difficult to be doing this, but when you see the fruit of that and your child's making really good decisions, then you know that you're on the right track. You're getting to see like I said, the fruit from that.
Well, that's all we have this week. Be sure to tune in next week for more Words from Your Mama.